Thought is a form of energy. It's not simply a physiological function, but it's something similar to light or ether. Thought is an element. The difference between one person and another does not lie in their having different hands or feet, or different body types, different blood, but it's in their consciousness, their thoughts. Thought is an elementary force, a cosmic function. Human beings are essentially the force of their thoughts of conscious awareness. According to the Buddha, everything of which our body consists comes and goes and changes in us. But this force or energy, which we create with our thoughts, is never lost. Currents of thought are an elementary force, constantly created by us. They are perceptible by other individuals who are capable of perceiving them. Yet they are not perceptible by all people. For no one is able to perceive higher currents of thought other than those which they themselves contain and are able to create. And if these currents of thought are sufficiently strong enough to overcome the gravitational forces of our planet, then they go to the boundless cosmic space and unite with all the forces of strong and superior currents of thought, which exist in the eternal cosmic ocean. Different energies that are derived from all the solar systems and the planets, not only from our own. And just as superior currents of thought go from this planet out into cosmic space, so are there also living beings on other planets which send out currents into the cosmic space as well. For life is not only a privilege of our planet, but exists on other planets within the infinite. In this video, we are going to discuss how to achieve superior thought currents and raise our consciousness out of the inferior thought forms that are subject to the terrestrial gravitational forces and laws of the planet. This, of course, is the true beginning of the organic ascension process, a way for human beings to sustain a level of superior thought and become co-creators with the infinite intelligence, which is the unity of all things. Just as plants growing upwards overcome gravitation, just as a bird overcomes gravitation by flying in the air, so is man, who represents one of the highest forms of mammals, capable of overcoming earthly gravitation by his thoughts. If our thought currents are sufficiently strong enough to overcome this gravitational force, then we too are able to traverse cosmic space. For the projection of the highest and finest energies of thought is without limit and without time. Strong currents of thought are capable of crossing the universe in a moment, and this cosmic ocean of superior currents of thought, or universal consciousness, is the Nirvana of the Buddhas. Have you ever felt pulled down by the energy of another person? Perhaps someone in your life that embodies negativity, narcissism, anger, depression. If so, then you will learn here how to navigate amid these kinds of dense energies and free yourself from that kind of debilitating negative influence. What happens then to those currents of thought which are not able to overcome the gravitational sphere of the earth? They must remain tied to the earth, within the circulation of all things. These thoughts will be captured by a new form of life. As we mentioned before, a current of thought is never lost, for it will continue its life in the consciousness of the individual who captures it. Currents of thought constantly circulate around the earth, and all new organisms that are born in the moment of their birth, even in their embryonic state, are subject to the influences of the currents of thought around them. The brain and the nervous system is a receiving apparatus. This is how thought currents are captured. It works by the law of affinity. Thus, these thought currents are reincarnated in the new living being and are continued by our individual consciousness. Now, if we can learn to establish contact with higher thought currents, we open up our consciousnesses to superior sources of energy. This is how the shamans, musicians, artists, dancers, poets, and the creative geniuses cultivate this kind of knowledge. They do it by establishing contact with superior currents of thought from which profound inspiration is accessible, resulting in symphonies and music and color and painting and exquisite athletic movement, as well as innovation that is sustainable and beneficial to all of humanity. On the other hand, individuals who create inferior thoughts establish contact with inferior currents of thought. The individual who possesses these are those who harbor fear. Thus, they establish contact with all the individuals having those same kinds of thoughts, all based on fear. It has been said before, misery loves company. The individual who dwells in inferior thought currents of violence immediately establishes contact with all individuals that embody violent thoughts. And the ones who create hatred, they too attract all individuals having thoughts of hate, separation, and aversion. Therefore, our thoughts can be for us superior sources of energy, harmony, and knowledge, but likewise, they can be inferior influences of hatred, egoism, violence, and ignorance. Each new thought which we have is always immediately rewarded or punished in the moment of its creation, according to the quality of the thought. The fundamental teachings and psychological laws of the wise sages such as the Buddha, Jesus, Lao Tzu, are profound psychological truths. For truly, all inferior thoughts create and inferior glandular secretion in our organisms, which, over time, paralyzes our vitality. While harmonious currents of thought create in us perfect glandular activity and mobilize our whole organism toward the forces of life. To enter this state and establish unity with the cosmic ocean of thought is not an easy thing to do. It requires fundamentally that we detach ourselves from the wrong kinds of pleasures and create instead within our lives the healthy, life-affirming practices that heal and nurture our entire living organism, mind, emotion, and body. The way to begin is simple. It's a matter of teaching without end. And the way to teach is by demonstrating it in your own life, to become a living example. This is how you and I can help humanity. Now, there's a beautiful ancient Buddhist legend which explains that it wasn't even easy for the Buddha. According to the story, Buddha was in a state of deep meditation in the Himalayas just before entering into Nirvana, the supreme state of merging completely with the ocean of superior thought currents. His body had become completely rigid during the many years in that state of silence and stillness, and dust and earth had settled on his head and his shoulders. And in the earth, on his shoulders, a swallow came every year to build her nest. And it happened one year that the swallow did not return. It was then that a tear appeared in the Buddha's eye. And even the great Gautama Buddha discovered that he himself missed the swallow. And this meant that he was still attached to the world and not yet ready to enter the Nirvana. So he returned to mankind to teach his doctrine of right living and to begin the wheel of his teaching. In summary, you and I have the precious opportunity in this life to do some meaningful spiritual work and to propel ourselves along toward the cosmic ocean of thought. The way to begin is right now in this holy instant. Connect with the living current of life that is flowing inside and all around you right now. Feel this current and open yourself to a little bit of gratitude for your precious birth. Establish a deeper connection with the living current of life. Each day, you can practice biogenic meditation, spend time in nature, listen to soothing music, and begin a program of detoxing your body with cleansing foods, herbal formulas, cosmotherapy, and occasional fasting. But most importantly, pay attention to your thoughts. Watch your mind. Occasionally, stop what you're doing and just ask yourself 3 questions. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? What am I sensing in this moment? These 3 simple questions of self-inquiry will help you come back into present balance and eventually help you establish a connection with the cosmic ocean of thought.